A suspect rams his car into a church, gets out, and starts shooting.
An evening of music and drinks turned into a night of terror.
America, we need to talk about what happened this weekend. I'm going to tell you something that the mainstream media won't. This wasn't just another tragic news cycle. We had 2 targeted mass casualty events in a single day. And if you think it's just random bad luck, you're not paying attention to the pattern here.
3 people killed, at least 8 more wounded after a gunman on a boat opened fire into a crowd at a riverside bar in North Carolina.
In North Carolina, a 40-year-old combat veteran took a boat to a waterfront restaurant and opened fire on families just trying to enjoy Saturday night. 3 dead, 8 wounded, but that's not where this story ends.
Terror and tears in Grand Blanc. An attack at a church leaves 4 victims dead, many others hurt, and a nation shaken.
Meanwhile, in Grand Blanc, Michigan, another 40-year-old man rammed his truck into a church during Sunday service, then got out with a rifle and started shooting at people as they fled. 4 dead, 8 wounded, church burned to the ground. What is up, guys? Tyson De La Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This isn't mental health. This isn't gun violence. This is spiritual warfare, and it's being waged against everything that we hold sacred in America. Let me break down what happened in Southport, North Carolina first, because the details reveal disturbing patterns that go way beyond what we're hearing from the news.
Members of the Southport Police Department were dispatched to calls of shots fired with multiple injuries at the American Fish Company at 150 Yacht Basin Drive here in Southport. Reports came in rapidly of a boat sitting in the waterway, reports of a subject shooting multiple patrons of the establishment.
Niall Edge, a 40-year-old who identifies as a combat veteran with PTSD, didn't snap and start shooting randomly. This was calculated. He took a boat. Think about that for a second. He took a boat to the American Fish Company restaurant, positioned himself in a waterway, opened fire on families eating dinner.
This is still a very active investigation. But there's a couple of things that I want to point out to you today before I turn it over to some of these individuals behind me. Some facts that we have at this time is that we believe that this was a targeted location. We appear that he acted in what we call a lone wolf. He acted alone. This is highly premeditated from what we're seeing at this time.
The police are calling this highly premeditated and a targeted location. This wasn't some random act of violence. This was a planned attack on innocent Americans just trying to live their lives. And here's what really gets me. After he finished executing people, he calmly fled up the intercoastal waterway. He had an escape plan.
The boat fled the ICW toward the Oak Island Bridge. Shortly after 10 p.m., the Coast Guard observed a single individual matching the description of the shooter, loading their boat at a public boat ramp in the area of Northeast 55th Street on Oak Island.
Thank God for the Coast Guard who spotted him loading his boat at the public ramp and detained him. But think about this. He had a whole escape route planned out. This wasn't a crime of passion or a mental health episode. This was premeditated terrorism against American families. Now let's talk about what happened in Grand Blanc, Michigan, because this attack reveals the true nature of what we're dealing with. A coordinated spiritual assault on American Christians.
Police say that it was 10:25 this morning when 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, that is the identified gunman by police, drove his vehicle into the Church of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc and then started shooting.
Thomas Jacob Sanford, another 40-year-old, didn't just walk into this church and start shooting. He weaponized his vehicle, rammed it directly into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints during a Sunday service. But that was just the beginning of his attack.
They say that he started a fire using accelerants and they believe explosives. Altogether, 10 people shot, 2 of them confirmed deceased, and then later they found 2 people deceased from the subsequent fire.
He came prepared with accelerants and explosives. This wasn't just a shooting. This was a coordinated attack designed to maximize casualties. He shot people as they tried to flee, then burned the church to the ground to trap anyone who couldn't escape.
Church had started at 10 o'clock. We had our opening congregational hymn. We were getting ready to take the sacrament, and we heard a large, just a loud bang. And then we saw that the front wall, so the front part of the chapel, the wall was cracked. And so we at first figured somebody accidentally had done something.
Listen to this survivor's account. They were taking communion, the most sacred part of worship service, when this demon crashed through their wall. These people's first instinct was to help, thinking someone had been in an accident. That's the kind of good-hearted Americans this monster was targeting.
So we started rushing out to go help, and then as soon as I saw the American flags on the truck, and that it was on purpose, and somebody yelled that it was on purpose, I started trying to get people out of the area and away, to disperse away. As soon as I saw the door open with the shooter and with his rifle, that's when I tried to drive away. And that's when he shot at us.
American flags on the trunk. Think about the psychological warfare here. He's using symbols of patriotism while committing acts of terrorism against American Christians. This is calculated evil designed to create maximum trauma and confusion. Now, let me give credit where credit is due, because in both of these attacks, we saw exactly why the defund the police movement is so dangerous and why we need to support our law enforcement officers.
Law enforcement, again, we were on scene within 30 seconds from that original 911 call. Within 8 minutes, that suspect was neutralized in the back parking lot of the church by a DNR officer and a Grand Blanc Township officer.
30 seconds. That's how fast Grand Blanc Township police responded to this church attack. Within 8 minutes, they had neutralized the threat and prevented even more casualties. These officers ran directly in the line of fire to protect innocent people.
We are specifically trained to go right to the threat in an active shooter situation. And I'm proud of my guys and the DNR who responded to this scene, who immediately took that suspect down, so there was no additional victims. So it was a great job by our staff.
This police chief gets it. They're trained to go directly to the threat, not wait for backup or negotiate. They eliminated the shooter before he can kill even more people. This is exactly the kind of aggressive response we need when demons are literally shooting up churches.
I'd also like to acknowledge the heroism of not only the first responders, but the people who were inside that church at the time. They were shielding the children who were also present within the church, moving them to safety. Just hundreds of people just practicing their faith. Just extreme courage, brave, and that's the type of community that we are.
And let's not forget the heroes inside the church, regular Americans who shielded children with their own bodies, who helped others escape while their place of worship burned around them. This is the America I know and I love. People who run towards danger and protect the innocent. Here's what mainstream media won't tell you about these attacks, and it's the most important part of this entire story. These shooters keep fitting the same exact profile. It's not a coincidence here. Both attackers were around the age of 40 years old. Both had military backgrounds. Both targeted the most vulnerable, defenseless people in our society. Families at dinners, Christians at worship. Both attacks happened within 24 hours of each other.
This incident is an active investigation. Investigators are tirelessly combing through evidence under difficult circumstances and working to identify each victim as quickly and accurately as possible.
The FBI is now leading the Michigan investigation and calling it targeted violence. But in my opinion, they're not connecting the dots to a broader pattern we're seeing across America. This isn't just crime or quote unquote mental illness. This is a manifestation of spiritual evil in our physical world. President Trump called it exactly right when he said there's clearly a targeted attack on Christians in America. Look at the timeline. We've had multiple attacks on churches, schools, and family gathering places. These aren't isolated incidents. They're coordinated spiritual attacks on faith, our family, and our communities.
The Michigan State Police continues to respond to several locations throughout the community as we receive additional bomb threats at other locations. Please continue to stay vigilant, and if you see something suspicious, say something.
And it didn't stop with the church attack. Michigan State Police received multiple bomb threats at other churches throughout the community. This is psychological terrorism designed to make Christians afraid to gather, afraid to worship, and afraid to live lives. Now, here's where I draw a hard line, and I don't care if anybody disagrees with me or not. There is no rehabilitation for someone who walks into a restaurant or church and starts executing innocent people. Absolutely none. When you take multiple lives of people people that you don't know in non-self-defense situations, you've forfeited your right to exist in civilized society. The death penalty shouldn't be quote-unquote explored for these monsters. It should be automatic and swift. We're not talking about somebody who made a mistake or got caught up in a bad situation. We're talking about premeditated mass murder of the innocent. The North Carolina shooter is still alive and will probably spend decades in prison at taxpayer expense while his victims' families suffer forever.
Suspect is a now Max Edge. He's been arrested and charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, 5 counts of attempted first-degree murder, and 5 counts of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, inflicting serious injury. There are additional charges pending.
Good, throw the book at him, but charging him isn't enough. When you systematically execute innocent Americans, you should face the ultimate penalty. These aren't people who can be reformed or rehabilitated. They're predators who have chosen to wage war against innocent life. Unfortunately, we no longer live with the luxury of assuming everyone has good intentions. Women especially need to understand that bullets don't discriminate. It doesn't matter if you're on vacation in a beautiful coastal town or attending church in small town Michigan. You need to be situationally aware at all times. You need to have exit strategies. You need to be prepared to defend yourself and your family. And most importantly, you need to be spiritually protected through prayer and faith.
It's just unbelievable. You never know what a person is going through. You never know what is going on in a person's mind.
This neighbor's reaction shows exactly the problem. We keep trying to rationalize evil as mental illness or personal struggles. But when some people aren't struggling, they're operating under demonic influence, targeting the most vulnerable among us with calculated precision. The enemy knows that Americans find strength in community, in faith, in shared values. So they're attacking those exact spaces where we come together. This is strategic spiritual warfare, not random violence. America, what we're witnessing isn't just crime or quote-unquote mental illness. It's a battle for the soul of our nation. And in that battle, neutrality isn't an option. We need to be prayed up and armed up. We need to be spiritually protected and tactically prepared. We need to support our law enforcement while also taking personal responsibility for our own security.
My heart is breaking for the Grand Blanc community. Violence anywhere, especially in a place of worship, is unacceptable. I am grateful to the first responders who took action quickly.
Governor Whitmer got one thing right. Violence in a place of worship is absolutely unacceptable. But thoughts and prayers aren't enough anymore. We need action. We need justice. We need to recognize that this is bigger than politics or policy. Stop being naive about the times we're living in. Stop assuming that it won't happen here or it won't happen to me. Start paying attention to your surroundings. Start having difficult conversations with your family about safety and preparedness. The enemy is counting on us to stay divided, distracted, and defenseless. Don't give them that satisfaction. My prayers go out to all the families in these attacks, but let's not pretend that this is just another news cycle. This is war, and it's time we start treating it like one. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.